And a good Sunday morning. It is the Positively Petland show with Ron Solsrud from Petland in Iowa City, east side of Iowa City, right over near the Iowa City Marketplace. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning. Our little puppies are, I think, just waking up. They've been silent this whole time.
This whole time, we haven't heard literally a peep out of them.
I heard a little squeak.
What breeds do we have today?
We have the French Bulldog, and then we have a Cockapoo. Cocker Spaniel mixed with a Poodle.
I don't know the French Bulldog, but I like the Cockapoo.
Cockapoo is interesting because if you look at backgrounds of these, there's all these designer mixed breeds that are out there. There's a lot of similarities of why, like Cocker Spaniel. Everybody loves that personality, loves the look. It's the Spaniel, so it sheds. I can't do that. Mix it with a Poodle. Now you got a much less shedding, if not a non-shedding dog. And that's why they did it. They mixed it with a non-shedding dog. And Poodles on the other side are extremely smart. They're going to pick things up really quick. So there's some advantages that you get from both sides. But I would say the same thing about a Shih Tzu Poodle, a Shih-Poo.
A Shih-Poo?
A Shih-Poo. And all the other ones that are out there, there's a lot of different mixes. And people gravitate. It's probably. Have you ever been exposed to a Cockapoo? Like, have you?
I've a friend had one. I've had a Cocker Spaniel before, so kind of like you said, is that just that personality? They seem to be. I'm more of a medium to large breed dog person. So
once we get a little bigger,
once we get smaller, I'm not as excited about.
So
them.
We balance each other out because I am all about small. I love large breeds when somebody else owns them.
I'm all about the German Shepherd. I would love to have a Mastiff. I would love to have a Dane again. But yeah, the smaller dogs, I just kind of, I don't know. I've always kind of shied away from them.
Right. I like dogs, so across the board. I do like the functionality of smaller breeds. They're just, in my brain, they're easier. Yeah. They're less poop, less food, less cleaning, less, there's a lot of lesses in there.
Well, in segment 2, we're going to talk about the history of both of these breeds. And it will be interesting when you start combining, and you said when they start breeding them, mixing them together, it's kind of interesting to see how that all happened and the origin about those different types of breeds.
Yeah, there's some fascinating facts about the Frenchie that we're going to pull out.
And purposeful treats.
Yes. We do it, and we should probably, as people, do it a little bit more. Instead of eating chips, we should probably we're learning something from the pet industry that we need to bring over to the people side. If we're going to eat a potato chip, it better have glucosamine and chondroitin on it. Yuck! But that's what we're going to talk about is treats, and they're combining things that we know that help the dog. So we know that omega-3s and fatty acids, the oils. Dogs love that anyways, but if you feed more of it, they shed less.
I just saw a story earlier this week, my hand to God, over in China, Coca-Cola is now going to have a different brand. They have Coca-Cola Zero, Diet Coke, Cherry Coke, those different whatever you want to call them, variations of regular Coca-Cola. Can you guess what is going to be added to Coca-Cola in China starting later on this year?
I can't imagine.
Fiber.
Really?
I'm not kidding. I saw the story earlier this week that a variation of Coca-Cola is now going to include fiber.
Is that, I don't know the stats on that. Do people in general just not eat enough fiber? I know I eat enough.
We're going to have to follow that up next week with,
but hey, we know from dogs and cats that if you have loose stools, and here I go talking poop.
Hey, it's Sunday morning. Why wouldn't we talk about poop?
If you have loose stools or you're constipated, fiber brings it to the middle. So it tightens up the loose or it loosens up the tight kind of a thing. And I'm wondering, I'm lucky I don't have that issue, and I don't realize that I'm eating more fiber, but apparently I am, I guess.
Well, you made me think of it when potato chip with glucosamine or cherry tart.
Put some fiber on that,
maybe. Dip it in a fiber like French onion dip.
Oh, I'd love that.
As we steer off course. But we're going
to I think we've coming up with hey, let's shut the show down. We got something to invent here.
But purposeful treats with your dogs are the idea of giving your dog a treat, but also helping them at the same point.
Yeah. And we'll talk about some options that you have out there. There's lots of options out there. We'll talk about a few of those.
Are you ready for an amazing pet story of the week?
Yes, I am. And where's that big voice guy?
It's time for the amazing pet story of the week.
It is time. And this one you're going to like. I just know you, and I know you're going to like this one. Dozer is a 3-year-old golden doodle. He saw a bunch of people running past his home in Fulton, Maryland. He became so excited that he crossed his invisible fence and started running with them. 7 miles later, Dozer crossed the finish line of the Maryland Half Marathon, a fundraising event for the University of Maryland's Greenbaum Cancer Center. The runners did not know that Dozer was not running with his owner, and he was completely alone. He returned the next day looking so tired that his owners decided to take him to the vet. Word got around, and they realized that Dozer was the dog on the marathon's TV coverage on the news that night. Marathon organizers gave Dozer a special award. Now he has his own runners page, a Facebook fan page, and he has raised over $21,000. And the news article that I printed off actually has the TV coverage of him running down the streets and running right along.
Is funny.
Right along runners. So Dozer, the marathon dog. Could you imagine what it would be like watching the news that night and seeing your dog?
That would be funny. That would be like, oh, there he is. I got to go get him. But holy cow, when you get your dog back, you'd be going, Dozer. And I'm looking at the picture of Dozer accepting his award. He is so proud.
He is so proud. His chin is up. You can't see the picture at home, but his chin is up. His chest is back. His breast is out, and he's just kind of going,
yeah.
Yep.
Look what I did today.
I just ran a marathon. I knew you would love that story when I read it
That's awesome.
earlier. But amazing pet story of the week right here on the Positively Petland Show. That is amazing. That's pretty fun. So before we get into segment 2, just give us a recap. Who do we have in the studio again?
We have a little Frenchie in our studio right now, Little Cream, that is at our store. So you'll want to check that little one out. And then we have a black with little white highlights, black cockapoo, real curly fur, real beautiful, and a spunky personality.
Spunky. We like
Spunky.
We like Spunky here on the Positively Petland Show on 800 KXIC. We're going to continue the conversation with Ron Solsrud. Give us the hours of the store today, Ron.
Today, we are open from noon until 6. All other days, we're open from 10 until 9 p.m. But today, Sunday, noon until 6.
Noon until 6.
Come in and take advantage of our $5 nail trim or buy 10, get one free on all of our dog and cat food. You don't have to buy it all at one time. We'll keep track of it for you.
Right over near the Iowa City Marketplace. Lucky's is right across the parking lot there. Pizza Ranch over the old Sycamore Mall. So swing on by and see Petland, folks, today. We'll continue with the Positively Petland Show next right here on 800 KXIC, Iowa City's news and sports station. In a Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid?
I think it's that one.
Yeah.
Oh, he's pouring it in like the coffee maker or something.
Yep.
And it just goes on, and I have no idea what they're talking about. Is there that much in there?
I need to rewatch that. That is too great, absolute timeless. He hates the cans. Do you need more?
I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yeah, run it.
This is the long segment.
The long.
Okay, here we go. It is the Positively Petland Show. Good Sunday morning. We are joined in studio by the one, the only, the handsome, the brilliant, the magnificent, the dog-loving co-owner of Petland in Iowa City, Ron Solzrud.
I would actually call myself humble, but okay.
The humble Ron Solzrud.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't work, does it?
Do you get to call yourself humble? I will say that you are very humble. But you're also amazing, talented, brilliant.
All right, let's get on with this show already. All right, we're going to talk about the French Bulldog. And while we're talking about the French Bulldog, I want you just to say, think, is this the right breed for me, my family, all that kind of a thing. So starting off, and this is all from AKC.
AKC stands for
American Kennel Club. And just for those that don't know the details, AKC is a collection of clubs. So in this case, the French Bulldog Club of America is under the umbrella of AKC. So the actual who owns, the standards and all that kind of stuff, well, that's the French Bulldog Club of America. But AKC has brought them in underneath their umbrella. All right, so history of this cute little breed. In the 1900s, English lace makers began breeding small bulldogs as lap pets. Later, these lace makers displaced from their looms by the Industrial Revolution, went to Brittany and Normandy, taking their small bulldogs with them. These toy bulldogs became popular in I almost let it out. Did you hear me? Were you paying attention just now?
No, I was trying to get the dogs out of the car. So where do you
think, because we got to get interactive here, where do you think these lace makers who were displaced because the looms...
You're talking about the French Bulldog?
From the English, where do you think these lace makers went? What country? Next door. Wait, no, not... Wait, I think it is next door across the pond.
Scotland.
What are we talking about today?
I have no idea.
What breed of the week?
French Bulldog.
Where do you think they went?
Spain. Sorry. I'm going to go with survey says French.
All
France.
Right. Gosh, you got to pull it out of you on that one. All right. These toy bulldogs became popular in France and were soon being exhibited, some with the rose and some with upright bat ears. And I love the bat-eared Frenchie that's out there. By the late 1900s, wealthy Americans, who's wealthy Americans? They're always all over the place, aren't they? Wealthy American tourists began bringing these toy bulldogs back as souvenirs. That's interesting that they put it as a souvenir from France.
I'm not sure if I would ever consider a pet a souvenir.
I almost feel like they took liberty on that one. I think these Americans, no matter how wealthy, I think they fell in love with the Frenchie as a pet and said, I want to bring them back home. And I want to get me one of those, kind of a thing. And they brought it back.
Because that's how wealthy Americans talk. I want to get me one of those.
Yes. The first known use of the name French Bulldog was in 1893 when a fancier exhibiting his dogs at a bench show in England put a sign over them that said French Bulldogs of British descent. And this name quickly was accepted. So that's where the Frenchie's name came from. So then going on to the form and function of these little things, because the lace makers of Nottingham originally began selecting for small bulldogs as lap pets, size was an important factor. So this was back then. Early Frenchies were as small as 10 pounds. That's a pretty small Frenchie. That's kind of on the level. That's even smaller than a.
That is small.
I was thinking of a pug, but pugs are even much bigger than that. The one that I have, which is interesting with all, why do we like purebreds? Well, you fall in love with the look, and then you got to get me one of those, comes into your brain, and you want one that fits what's in your brain, kind of thing. So having a purebred, you're going to get something close, kind of thing.
And breeds like this can be kind of deceiving because their build is small, but their girth is huge. It's kind of like the boxer that we were talking about last week. Is they might not be that big, but they are just all muscle, solid little puppies.
Right. And another thing that's interesting is the history of what they were. Purebreds of today are mixed breeds of yesterday, and in fact they even like modified them over the last 100-200 years, and every now and then that gene that was back then pops out, and you go, and that's when somebody goes, that doesn't look like a whatever the breed is, and I a lot of times I go, yeah, I agree with you, but it's pure. And it's very much like us. And I always point out for myself, I'm taller than all my parents and grandparents, and nobody, well, where'd the height come from? Well,
what was the year again? I think I missed that because I was trying to play with
We're talking early 1900s.
Early 1900s. So this is one of the older AKC breeds then?
No, this would be AKC has been around since the late 1800s. So yes, from an AKC,
that's what I was.
See what you're saying. Yeah. But here, early Frenchies were as small as 10 pounds, and why that is somewhat significant for today is we have a very small Frenchie today. Have you checked it out yet?
He's still sleeping.
Yeah, and that's what they do mostly.
Just kind of
is bulldogs. They just are always.
I snapped my fingers. He opened his eyes, kind of looked at me, and said, "Yeah,
it's nappy time.
I'm good."
So this one's on that smaller path. Although today it is quite rare to see one that small. Today, most range from 20 to 28 pounds. They're small size, affectionate, even temper, and quiet nature. Have you ever heard a Frenchie bark or let out a little cry?
I don't think so.
Oh my goodness. It is the funniest thing you'll ever hear. It's a squeal squalor kind of thing that they do. And you're like, what the nuts going on in there? And then you look at it and it's barking, kind of thing. So it's cute when they do it, especially when they're this young. Combined with their rather low exercise requirement, that all makes the French Bulldog an ideal companion and lap pet, just as it did in the early days of the breed. So this is a fairly low energy dog in the big picture. It does have spurts of energy, kind of thing, but it wouldn't be that spastic dog that never runs out of energy. This one, runs. Okay, I need to take a nap now, kind of a thing. Or I need a drink of water and I need to go to bed. A little bit about the living with the Frenchie. Routine grooming for Frenchies includes regular nail trimming, ear cleaning, which is not like overly, their ears are wide up, so they kind of get cleaned and don't gather and all that kind of stuff. Ear cleaning, brushing to remove excessive hair, frequent cleansing of skin folds. Not as much as a bulldog, though. There might be a little bit of skin fold, but yeah, I would go with that. Occasional bathing. Now, I'm a frequent bather.
I know you are. As well as you bathe your pets.
Yes, that too. I always point out is, we take showers and all that kind of stuff every day, yet we complain about the stinky dog that hasn't had a bath in 2 weeks,
right.
Kind of thing. Our dogs typically, I guess we're kind of are leaning off on that, but about every week to every 2 weeks. With the shampoos, with the proper dog shampoos and cat shampoos, you can give them almost every day and be fine. If you're using if you're reading that stuff on the internet, it just has silly things on it, but they'll talk about using Dawn soap. I'm telling you, you don't want to wash your dog more than every 3 months with that. You are going to get peely skin and dry and flaky and all that kind of stuff when you do that kind of a thing. All right. So house training and crate training must be done as soon as possible. Well, that would be true with any dog. Basic obedience training should include walking nicely on a lead as well as obeying basic commands. So that all of that would be applied to any dog. The easiest time to train a dog is when they're younger. I have had experience with both the puppy and of an older dog. And I would say you can always train an old dog a new trick. And Callie, our dachshund, is the case in point. She did not get potty training until kind of midway in life. And she is the best potty trained dog out there. Her record is somewhere around 14 hours of holding it. I mean, holy cow. I think she moderated herself or something. That was the oops, we got to run home, kind of a thing. Right. And like no accidents. So you can train an old dog a new trick, but it is easier when they're a little puppy. So the Frenchie is going to be kind of a smaller, medium-sized dog. It is a shedding dog, but the hair is short. So this gets into that where you're not going to see a lot of shedding unless you have a black couch or really dark furniture and you have a cream Frenchie. Well, then you're going to notice that on there. But you frequent bathing, so once a week bathing, and a little Furminator is going to pretty much take care of anything that's going on there.
The Furminator.
We love the
Furminator.
We do. So that's the French Bulldog. Is that the right breed for your family? Or hopefully we gave you some great knowledge there, and you're either like going, no way, or you're saying, hey, that kind of sounds interesting. Come on in. We can show you the Frenchie. Hopefully we'll still have them this Sunday for you to look at. But we have a lot of other breeds. 70% of the people that come into our store saying, I have to have this type of breed, walk out with a different breed because they discover that there is something they didn't like about that, and they're more well suited for a different breed, and they fall in love. That's
and what makes Petland great, and we talked about it last week, and we really should hit it every single week, is your counselors are trained. They'll coach you through. They'll ask those discovery questions, trying to figure out, okay, why do you want a dog? What type of dog? And then here are the differences between all of these dogs. So your counselors really do a nice job.
Right. It's educating. And I always stress with my staff is book educating. I don't want your opinions out there. I appreciate your opinions and I think you can share them. But I think what's more important is the book out there, because we all have opinions. I have an opinion of a dachshund. I think they're one of the best breeds ever. Mm-hmm. Well, it's because I have a dachshund. I love my dachshund, and so that's going to bias it a little bit. It's always good to, like what we did here today, read a book that is a generalization over that entire breed, over many different dogs within that breed, and now you can start drawing some generalizations. But training really makes the difference. If you put the boundaries on your dog or your cat in the house, they're going to then, as long as you enforce those boundaries, they're going to stay within it. And we're going to talk about potty training and how to set those boundaries next.
What is the other breed that we have in here today?
The one that you're madly in love with?
Well, he won't come out and he won't say hi.
The cockapoo.
The
Cocker Spaniel.
He's so cute in there. I can see him, but he's just not coming out of the cage for some reason. So,
which is, I wouldn't have anticipated that, because all last night and this morning, that little cockapoo is like, let me out. Let me have it. I want to, be all about it. So
maybe there's something scary about me.
Maybe it's our coffee breath.
It's keeping the Frenchie comfortable and a nice little
and
companion.
It is one of those. There's a photo moment occurring in here right now.
Well, shifting gears over towards teaching a dog a new trick. The first 24 hours of potty training, it's very important.
So we cover a lot of different aspects of training, in potty training specifically, and I always find it helpful for customers, or I guess the customers' feedback to us is that when you talk about what does it look like over a 24-hour period to help me set those boundaries for my dog in potty training, what are some tips that I can use throughout the day and night to get this little thing going in the right direction. And so I start the 24 hours at around 7 a.m. You might get up at 5 a.m. and that's when you have to take care of your dog and all that kind of stuff. So you adjust it to whatever your schedule is. But let's say you wake up. The first place, especially if it's a puppy, or I know I have an older dog that has issues, the first thing to do is go to their kennel. And you're going to go, wait, you just talked about a kennel. We're going to get into the kennel a little later on, why that kennel is so important. But you're going to pick the dog up out of the kennel. Why am I picking up the dog? Well, the dog is in a den right now. The dogs tend to not poop or pee within their den. But once they come out of the den, that all bets are off and they'll poop or pee right outside the den. So you're going to go in there, pick up that dog. You're then going to, if you didn't get your treats, go get your treats, put them in your pocket. You're going to need those in a little bit here, and we'll tell you why. Now you're going to, can we have footsteps walking across the floor? Now you're going to walk across the floor, go to that back door, and try to use the same door every time for potty. And if you can make this door be only potty door, that would be a good thing. If you can't, we'll work with you on that. So walk out that door, go out to this section of the grass that you want them to potty in. Oh, is that the birds?
That's the early morning birds.
Okay. So now put the dog down onto no, gently, Jerry. How many times do I have to say this? So gently put them down on the floor, on the grass, and just stand there. If it's a puppy, you're going to find, unless you have a larger breed and it's rambunctious, but they tend to stay towards your feet right at the beginning. They're going to start discovering here in a little bit, but at the beginning, they're going to stay at their feet, at your feet. And then all of a sudden, they'll do the poopy dance and start doing their turns back and forth, do it, and start laying it down. When they are doing that, get that treat out right now. Get that treat into in front of their nose. And
you were going to say into their nose.
Yes, and I meant to not say that.
But don't put the treat actually in the dog's nose.
No, don't do that.
No.
But I'm not hearing any sound effects. I want sound effects. Come on.
Okay, keep going.
So now you're going to lean down. At your spine.
Crack.
Lean down, and you want that treat right at their nose while they're doing their business. Exactly. They're going to start sniffing it and going, whoa, what's all this about? Hey, the first time you do this, they have no idea why you're putting that treat at their nose. Huh? But as you go along, they're going to understand there's a pattern. When I poop, I get a treat at my face, and you let them eat it. As soon as they say lick, 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 I want to eat it, let them have it.
You're not going to make me make a poop sound effect, are you?
Wait, didn't we have the pump a grumpy in here? Weren't we talking about pumping?
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
And that was funny. I didn't know that people didn't know about that one.
Yeah.
So anyway, so now they're pooping and you got the treat there. They lick it, they eat it. Now, the more you do that, the more they're going to see the pattern. When I poop outside, I get a treat. And they're going to go, ooh, I'm going to hold it until I go outside because I'm going to get that treat. And I even point out, okay, to drive this whole thing home, just picture your dog in the future, running around. Now you don't even have to go out there, or you're out there with them and all that. All of a sudden it goes up to the fence and the other dog comes over. Hey, Chuck, how you doing? Kind of thing. And they're having a little conversation. And your dog all of a sudden says to the other dog, hey, by the way, I've been meaning to tell you, if you wait and hold it until you get outside and then you do it out here, they do something crazy. They give you a treat. You might want to try that in your home. I mean, it's just, that's what they're thinking. I want to hold it until I get out there. And then you give them the treat and they get the treat and they'll start seeing that pattern. So that's what you're going to do there. Jerry, I know you're thinking right now. I know what you're thinking. You're going to go, but wait, what if my dog doesn't poop or pee? And if it pees, you got to do the same thing like what we just talked about.
I was just thinking, what if my dog doesn't poop or pee?
Yeah. Okay. And I don't want to sit out here for 30 minutes. Right. I'm with you on that. If they don't get the business done within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, pick the dog back up, walk back into the house through the door, and go to the kennel and put the dog back down into the kennel.
Clink.
And you might even hear
the little whimper.
Yeah. What's up? I thought I was going to just give them a 5 to 10 minute time right now.
Tick,
so that they get it going and all that kind of a thing. Pick them back up, bring them back down after that. Usually, I hear 80 to 95% of the dogs do it that first time. I'm trying to think my percentages now. 4 to 9% of them, whatever, do it that second time. If they don't do it on that second time, something, hey, they just don't have to go. Maybe they had an accident or whatever. So now you're going to bring them back out, do that, repeat that whole lesson again, and just reward them whenever they poop or pee. If they're not doing it and you're like going, okay, what do I do now? Okay, advance on to the next step. Now it's feeding and drinking time. So wherever you're going to do your food and all that kind of a thing, feed them, let them have their time and all that. In the future, your dog is going to show that they have control over their bladder, control over the pooping and all that kind of stuff. You can, most of us wait until after they eat. I'm just saying for a puppy or one that has issues where they potty at will kind of a thing, just do it on the front end so that if they need to get it out, let them get it out. Now let's go let them eat and do their thing there. A word on eating: if you want consistent like poop times and all that kind of stuff, do controlled feeding. So if it's a puppy, it's 3 to 5 feedings a day. You're going to control then how many poops they have. If it's continuous feed, if you have a small dog, you got to do it. It's going to be continuous feed. Though it's a little bit unpredictable when that's going to get through the intestine and all that kind of a thing. I have an older dog, so now I've already advanced on to our dogs eat twice a day, and they poop twice a day as a result. So we've minimized. That might be in your future, maybe not right now. Let them drink and all that. At this point, I would go back outside, especially if your dog hasn't done the business. Get them back outside, let them do their thing. So on the puppies, you're going to do this. On your older dogs, you guys all know the patterns by now, how you're going to adjust those kind of things. So, all right, let's advance on to the rest of the day. So if you have a puppy, about every 2 hours, you're going to want to let them have time out. If you find that they're having accidents before the 2 hours, well, then you got to shorten that up. Look for their patterns. This is what we do with our children. When they're little babies, we're looking for those patterns and adjusting our schedule for their patterns. And as they grow, they're going to be able to hold it longer and longer. Callie, my dachshund that we got when she was older, she pooped and peed in the house all at will. When we started putting these kind of boundaries on her, she then started saying, oh, okay, well, I'll hold it and I'll go outside. I'll get the treat. I like that and all that. That was many years ago. Now she doesn't get the treat anymore because she understands that's how we do it in our family. So throughout the day, you're going to get them out and all that kind of stuff. If you have a dog that has potty issues and training issues like that, use that kennel throughout the day because dogs are denning animals. They tend to not poop or pee in their den. But again, pick them up when you're getting them back out again and then set them down in the grass outside.
And I think an important point, just as a dog owner of most of my life, and being around a lot of different breeds, don't get mad at the dog.
Oh, good point.
Don't get mad at the dog. Sometimes you see people, they have an accident and the dog's going to respond to how your demeanor is. So if you walk in and you start screaming, hooping and hollering and maybe take a newspaper after the dog has absolutely no idea why you're upset.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about that. So they don't understand that. So they'll actually poop or pee right in front of you because they don't know what's going on and they get nervous and they let it out. So that's one bad side effect. I had a neighbor that, he goes, I did it once and I felt bad and all that kind of stuff for the rest of that dog's life. Mm-hmm. Whenever he came home, honey, I'm home, the dog would pee.
Yeah.
So he goes, I feel so bad. I see the ramifications. So yelling doesn't work. Hitting doesn't work. You know what else doesn't work? Rubbing their nose in the poop.
Yeah.
Do you know why? They like it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's not going to help anything.
Yep.
They'll actually eat it. They'll actually lick their lips after you do it and go, oh, thank you. That was a little tasty. And I know it's gross, but that's what dogs do. Whether we like it or not, that's what they do. So don't do that. I'm trying to think. There was something else that we talked about on that one, and we'll get back into it on things that you don't do. Oh, I think it was the nose in the poop thing.
Nose in the poop, but you alluded to it, and you said that we would get to it. Is how important that kennel is, making if you have a big dog. yeah, you're going to need a bigger kennel. But it's important also to tighten up that space so that well, I'll let you take it off.
Right. So now we've gone through the day. Now we're coming into the evening hours and we're going, going to bed and everything. So you let your dogs out for that last potty time and all that kind of a thing. Let them get it out, drain their bladder. In fact, here's a tip for you that those that are still, have an old dog and it's peeing through the night, cut the water earlier in the evening. So we actually we have a 7-year-old Maltese poodle. We had to do it all the way through 5 years of her life. She was a waterholic. We have no idea why she would drink as much water as possible. So we had to cut it at 7:30. Now she's going to let it out over about 2 times or 3 times more until she goes to bed. And then she was able to hold it. So we do that with our children as well to help them try to hold it throughout the night. We can do that with our dogs. So now what we're talking about, now we go back to the kennel, which is a den. Dogs are denning animals. If you have ever go on the internet right now, search out wild dog, wolves, den kind of a thing, and you're going to see them in these very, very tight, cramped quarters underground. That's the way they do it. I don't know why they have such a cramped quarters. They must not like big quarters, I guess. I don't know. That's what they're used to. And so when potty training times, the kennels usually come with this extra wall,
a divider.
Yeah, that's not attached to anything. And everybody goes, throw it out. It's an extra piece, kind of thing. Well, that was meant to go inside the kennel and make it into a smaller kennel for potty training purposes. So you make it tight so that they can't poop and pee in one section and come over to the other section and lay down. If they poop or pee, they got to lay in it. And then that's where they're uncomfortable. In fact, mom takes care of all this for a puppy up and through 4 weeks. And it's gross what she has to do up through those 4 weeks. And I think we're all getting that picture. After 4 weeks, she says, hey, do that outside now. I'm not cleaning up after you. And so she starts ushering them out of the kennel. At that point, they can start walking really well and running and all that, avoiding predators and all that, and get back into the kennel or into the den out in the wild if there's a predator out there. Prior to that, they were just, waddlers, and they just couldn't get away kind of a thing. So they would be stalked. So mom was protecting them in their den at that point and cleaning up after them. So the same thing can happen in your home. Make it so that if they have to do it, at 8 weeks, they are more than capable of holding it. We'll talk a little bit about those small dogs here in a second. So that's why you have a kennel, call it a den. In fact, if somebody's out there going, I still don't like the kennel, it looks like a cage and I want to put my dog in a cage. What do we put our babies into? We put them into
a crib,
which you can also look back and say that looks like a cage too. And there's a top on a dog kennel because dogs will jump out, and that's a safety problem. So it's a crib with a top on it is all it is. So now we've let them out for the last time. We're going to go to bed. We put our dog in the kennel. Everything's nice, safe. Everything's good in there. We close it up. We go into our bedroom, and we can already start hearing it. All that kind of stuff. Okay, if that starts occurring in your house, what I did, I had the opportunity to be able to go put them into a totally different room. I went to the basement. We have a finished basement. Put them into the room, other side of the house. Closed that door. Closed all of our children's doors. Closed my door of our bedroom. I'm real sensitive, so I put a little pillow over my ear and all that kind of stuff. Had a great night's sleep. That's the most important thing tonight. You have to get a great night's sleep because we don't want emotions controlling us in the morning. So make sure you get a great night's sleep. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, though. I understand that situation, too. You might be in an apartment or a condo.
And it may be silly to say, but the correlation between raising a dog and raising a child, you and I are both parents. And so a lot of times you just kind of have to let them self-soothe themselves and figure things out.
That's what they will do, because we do that with our kids. Yep. The doctor said, let them soothe them. In fact, if you
wait 5 minutes, then wait 10 minutes, then wait 50. I mean, you don't want the kid to cry for, an hour straight without doing something. But, sometimes you just kind of got to let them go a little bit.
Right. And like a human, like our babies, the doctors told us point blank, if you don't let them cry themselves to bed, you're going to create bad sleeping habits in the future. And I mean, they got stringent on us, and I remember that. So letting them cry themselves to sleep, and it sometimes takes a while, is the best thing. And just keep on telling yourself that it's the best thing. But make it so that you can go to bed as well. Let them figure it out, because in a short period of time, they're going to go right to bed. Both of our dogs had to go through this, where they got a little whiny, and just put them in the room. Everything was safe. Everything was comfortable. It was dark so that they, nothing woke them up and all that. I even turned, it was in a laundry room. I turned the exhaust fan on, put a little white noise in there so they couldn't hear the house creaking or the cat lurking around and all that kind of stuff. So find out what works best for you to soothe it, but let it cry it out. But I know that some of you got to do what you got to do, because you have to have the noise is too much for the people around you. And that's a unique situation. You're going to have to find, your unique solutions to those.
And in previous shows, you've mentioned also finding the right breed, working with the Petland counselors on dogs that are going to exhaust their energy. If you're not an outside person, don't get a lab, or don't get something that find a breed that is going to exhaust their energy inside the house.
Yeah, and exhaust it before you put them to bed.
Before you put them down. Think of how
run them until they don't even want to run anymore.
They want to go back into their den, and they just want to lay down. But if you're not an outside, and you let's get a high energy dog, and you never take it outside,
you're not,
and then you try to get it trained to go to bed when you go to bed, good luck.
Right.
And so anyway, it's just bringing it full circle back around. Head over to Petland. This is the Positively Petland show on 800 KXIC. And let's get to the last topic, which is going to be, unless you had other thoughts.
You know what? If we're running low, let me finish out the night, and then we can hit treats next week and everything. So, all right. So now you're going to put that dog in there, let them cry themselves to sleep. But throughout the night, don't go to the crying dog, because if you go to the crying dog, they're training you right now. I know they're going to come and get me now, and we're going to play. We're going to do this. For you small dog owners out there, if you feel compelled in the middle of the night, to give them a wee break, you make it short and succinct. You walk out, preferably when they're quieted back down again. Walk out, pick them up, go outside, let them do their duty, give them the treat when they're doing it, come back in, put them back in the kennel, go back to bed. You got to make it quick. If you're starting to play with them, they're going to cry in the middle of the night every night and say, I want to play, I want to play. So they'll be training you. So make sure you understand that concept, that if you go to them when they're crying, they're training you on what they want, and they're going to continue on down that path. They're going to get you well trained.
And I think it would be important also, and I'll appeal to your expertise. The better your schedule is, the better your dog's schedule is going to be. So if you are feeding them, multiple times a day, is it important to feed them at the same time, or try to get them?
Everything you can make consistent, just like a baby, is going to help you. Boundaries and consistency are critical to training of all kinds, but especially on that potty training.
So once again, are we going to be able to get to treats? Do you want?
We've still got a little bit, minute or two.
Yeah, let's.
All right, so we talked about treats in this here on potty training. I always go, if you're going to give your dog a treat, why not give them a treat that does more than just, taste good kind of a thing? So nutrition is obviously a good thing. Altering the protein source through the treat is another good thing. But there are really cool treats out there now that have glucosamine and chondroitin that will help with their stool, quality kind of a thing. They even have treats out there to lower the toot in your dog so that they don't toot as much. So look at those when you're going and looking at treats. Look for something that's got a purpose. Will you pay a little bit more for it? Probably, because you're going to pay for something of quality at this point. You're not just paying for a lump of corn, kind of a thing. That's what many of those biscuits are. It's a lump of corn. You're feeding your dog a lump of corn. You're overpaying for that. Why not get something that has a little more purposeful aspects to it? So glucosamine, chondroitin, omega-3s and fatty acids for healthier skin and coat. We talked about fiber for the stool quality and all that. So that's something with a little bit more intentional fiber that will hit that one right on the head. Products with cranberries in it. That's for the urinary tract. So there's all these great ways that you can find treats, and we have a ton of them in our store. That's what, when we go to trade shows, Wendy and I and our crew, we're looking for things that are unique, that are going to help you and your dog or cat function better. And so we have a ton of this stuff in our store.
And I would assume that it's important to follow the recommended dosages.
It's always a good thing. Case in point, where you also use that common sense that everybody talks about. A story is a natural source of glucosamine and chondroitin is a trachea. And so you can get a trachea for your dog. Well, we gave a trachea, and this is from a cow, and we have them in the store. I think we have them right now. I gave a trachea to our little dog and let our little dog eat the entire thing. That was stupid on my side. It was too much. Okay. It was very rich.
I was going to say that's
for a big dog. Okay. Maybe that wouldn't have
I didn't know that they had such things, to be honest with you.
And so we should have allowed our dogs to just have a little bit of it and then put it away and have a little bit of it and all that kind of stuff. It was more of a treat, but we were just having fun and watching her eat it. And she was like, oh, thanks. Well, and an hour later, I gotta go, kind of a thing. So everything, if there's any recommendations on the package, go by the package, and then also use a little bit of common sense. If you got a small dog, realize a lot of these things are made for the big dogs. Give them a small dose of it, get it back so that they don't fill their belly with it.
We don't have time for it right now, but remind me next week to tell you the accidental treat that I gave my Great Dane.
The accidental. So there's purposeful treats, and then you're going to talk about accidental treats.
The ones that on Christmas morning wound us up at the vet going,
we'll talk about that.
This is not good. So why don't
that's a teaser.
That is a teaser. Join us next week on the Positively Petland show right here on 800 KXIC, 9 o'clock every Sunday morning. Why don't you give us a little wrap up as far as what the store has in store?
We got our $5 nail trims. Just bring in your records, so we have them on file. We have our buy 10 get one free on all of our dog and cat food. We have a ton of supplies for all your furry, feathered, scaly, whatever other friends that we have out there. So come on in, check us out. We're all about education. And I think I ran out. Oh, there it was. I knew there was something else. Today we're open from noon until 6 on Sunday. All other days we're open from 10 a.m. until 9 p.m. But today, Sunday, noon until 6.
All of your furry, feathered, and scaled friends at Petland over on the east side of Iowa City. Stop in. Visit with Ron, visit with his great staff, all of the great counselors there, and play with a few of the puppies and find out which is the right breed for you. And we'll see you back here next Sunday. Thanks, Ron.
Sounds good. Thank you.
It is Positively Petland show right here on AM 800 KXIC. Have a great Sunday.